Hello. So let me just tell you what happened. A couple months ago, I got the idea in my head to paint my dining room table. I had really been wanting to do something like this for a while now. It was one of those pieces of furniture that was given to me for free when I moved to my current apartment, because when I moved here, I was a very poor, very pitiful, very furnitureless 2L in law school, and all my friends and family felt bad for me that I would probably have to sit in an empty apartment by myself studying on the ground because I had no furniture and no money to pay for furniture. So a lot of people were very generous to help me find furniture for free or, next to no money. Practically speaking, it's a perfectly fine table. It's got those wonderful table-like qualities. It's got legs and, a surface, and it's a flat surface, and it's, you know how it is. Aesthetically speaking, it's not really what I would pick. It's this wood that's like a yellowish blonde color wood, and it shows literally every speck of dirt ever. And it's got the finish is coming off. It's very discolored in a lot of places, and no matter how many times I scrub this fucking thing, it always looks dirty and gross, because I'm pretty sure whoever made this table sprinkled dirt on it and then put the finish on top so that it would be impossible for me to clean. And that's really just a wonderfully appetizing thing to look at while you're eating your dinner. I have been wanting to do something to change this for a while now, and I got this idea in my head to do a mural on the table, up the center of the table, kind of like a runner, but with paint. And I kept thinking about this idea. I thought I could do a collage of all these things that I like movies, TV shows, aesthetic looking things that I like that really speak to who I am. And it could be this really personal, really cool looking piece of art, so to speak. And I kept thinking about it, and I kept wanting to do it. I have a ton of paint here because I've been getting really into painting throughout quarantine and the pandemic. It's been really a great way for me to process my stress and my anxiety disorder. And I thought, it'd be a great project to do. The table is essentially a big canvas. What the fuck could go wrong, right? I kept thinking about it, and it kept festering in my head, but I always punked out at the end of the day because I'm I really don't want to fuck up my table and then have to look at it for the rest of my life and be like, man, that was really fucking dumb. Why did you do that? I never really committed to doing it. And then a couple weeks ago, I got COVID, or at least I was exposed to COVID. And then I had to isolate for 2 weeks. Now, the 4 people in my life that I do get to see in person during the pandemic, half of them are high risk. And even if you're not high risk, obviously you don't want to risk getting anybody exposed to COVID because, as we know, anyone could get sick and possibly die from it. So it was a very easy decision for me to isolate for 2 weeks by myself. But that meant that I was going to be in my apartment by myself for 2 weeks with nothing but my thoughts, feelings, emotions, and greatest fears keeping me company. And that was a little bit too much for me to handle. So I decided, there's no better time than now to paint my fucking table. I woke up one morning during that isolation time and thought, that motherfucker is getting painted. I decided to start this project at no better time than 11:45 at night on a Thursday when I had a meeting with my boss first thing in the morning. I decided to sand down the table. I had a blueprint of different pieces of paper taped together showing where I was going to put what little collage piece, and I started translating that onto the table. I measured everything. I drew in pencil. Everything was hunky-dory. And then I started painting it. And it looked like dog shit. It honest to God looked like a third grader just went crazy on my table. The paint wasn't sticking the way I wanted it to. It was very transparent and very thin looking, and it looked very, homemade, crafty. It just looked so bad. It looked completely the opposite of what I envisioned in my head. And I felt incredibly disheartened and discouraged and emotionally devastated by the whole thing. And I thought at that point I was going to have to staple gun a tablecloth to my table, because if I leave a regular tablecloth on it, my cat will just rip the fucking thing right off. I was feeling very defeated, but I thought, you know what? It's 1:30 in the morning right now. Go to bed. After work tomorrow, when you clock out, you can just work on this table again and see if you can salvage it. So I did that. It started going from looking like an absolute nightmare to looking halfway salvageable to actually looking kind of cool. I'm not an expert artist by any means. I just kind of do it as a hobby. I'm not saying I'm the best at it, but I was looking at this table and I'm like, this actually looking kind of sick. I kind of fuck with this table right now. I got the idea around Saturday evening to maybe start recording my progress on this table because I thought it was starting to look pretty cool. And if it ended up looking great, I could post it online and be like, hey, look at this amazing project that I did while I was in quarantine. And if it looked like garbage at the end of it, I could just have a personal video for myself to look at to remind me to never approach my tables or any other piece of furniture in my apartment with my paint when I'm feeling stressed out. So I started recording. Obviously, I don't have any like actual recording supplies. I just have my phone and the objects that I taped my phone to so that I could get an angle of me painting. Yeah, and I put it together. I think the table looks pretty neat at the end, but you can let me know in the comments if you disagree. So yeah, here is the progress of me fucking up my table. So if I had to describe my apartment's design aesthetic, I would say it's very eclectic. Like I said, when I first moved to my apartment, I really didn't have a lot of furniture, so I basically had to take what I could get. And ever since then, because of that, I've really tried to make the decorations and paintings on the wall really make my apartment feel more like home, reflecting my interests, the things that I like, things that are important to me. A lot of times that artwork is very graphic, very bold. It reflects the TV shows, movies, things I liked growing up, personal aesthetic preferences. And a lot of them, too, are ideas that I found on Pinterest that I just kind of added my own personal twist to because I'm not very creative on my own. I also do a lot of pottery painting, like vases, and I've really been getting into doing like wood crate painting, trays, containers, and coasters. Yeah, that's right, I have my own fucking coasters. I feel like it's like the biggest flex ever is to have your own personalized coasters in life. I mean, like, what more could you want in life, right? So this is what I'm kind of talking about when I say I want to make a collage effect for my table. I painted this tray. It was a wooden tray, and I used acrylic paint and just kind of, went to town with it. I did a collage just, putting a bunch of random lines in pencil and then painting each section with one of my favorite movies and or TV shows, like either a symbol or artwork that relates to it somehow. And then I did quotes from my favorite movies and TV shows around the front. Notice, of course, the typo that my dad wasted about 0.5 seconds before he pointed it out. So that was really awesome. I felt really good about myself after he pointed that out, especially because I put Mod Podge on it and I can't really do anything about fixing it because it's too late. But anyways, this is the kind of effect that I want to do. Obviously, my table is not just going to be like my favorite movies and TV shows. It's going to be other stuff as well. But this is really the effect that I'm going for. This is her right now. I've definitely made a bit of progress. It's, I would say, maybe 60% done-ish because there's still a lot of stuff over there, like courage is not looking right. But there's still a lot of like touch-up stuff. Like obviously I haven't painted anything on these ones yet, but I just wanted to get the background paint down. But overall, I'm like, I don't know, I'm pretty pleased with it. Like even though it doesn't look perfect, like NASA looks a little fucked up. This doesn't look like an actual circle. It looks like, a peach maybe that's been sitting on your counter for a couple weeks and starting to get like a dent on the bottom. But overall, I'm like pretty impressed with this. I don't know. My courage is looking a little fucked right now, but... So as you can see, my table is really shaping up to be an absolute and total clusterfuck of everything that is me, which I honestly wouldn't have it any other way, and no table would ever be complete of mine without anything referencing the goodest boy, the best doggo ever committed to childhood cartoon, Courage the Cowardly Dog. That show scared the shit out of me when I was little, but it was so creative and so just like completely fucked up most of the time that it honestly, there will never be a show like that ever again. So of course I had to put it on my table. So right now I'm just outlining Courage, adding in the details to make him look a little bit less ridiculous before my cat eventually tries to jump on the table and walk around all over the wet paint and demand my undivided attention while I'm trying to work on this project. Yes, all the scritches. Yes, yes, yes. So once I gave Lulu her snuggles and prevented her from consuming any wet paint, I sent her off on her merry way and continued my endeavor of making Courage look a little bit less like a purple potato and more like the good boy that he is. Okay, I know everyone loves SpongeBob and everyone loves Nickelodeon, and there are some great shows on Nickelodeon, but I'm just gonna say, I think most of the shows in that era that were on Cartoon Network would slap SpongeBob any day of the fucking week. Fight me. So this is Courage pretty much done. He's supposed to have like a little light, like a little, oh shit, I gotta be careful. A little speck of white in his eyes, and I tried doing it when the paint was wet, which is obviously a stupid thing to do because it just made like a little uneven looking splotch in his eyes, so we're going to wait to do that. But this is basically him overall. I mean, the coloring isn't perfect, his teeth are not perfect, but, you know, it's close enough. I think it'll look cool once we've kind of put the other... Oh, I forgot his eyebrows. Holy shit. No, that's why he looks really fucked up. Hold on. Okay, so that looks a little better. I mean, he kind of... This one still looks a little messed up, but I mean... Looks like Courage, I guess. The color is not perfect, but it's close enough. I think, you know, when you look far away, you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of Courage. I mean, he looks a little bit like the Aldi's brand version of Courage, but it's still something, so we're just going to go with it for now. So now that we have Aldi's brand Courage the Cowardly Dog all touched up and ready to go, as well as Lulu scheming under the table, it was time to rehydrate, potentially choke on all the water in the process, and forge onward with our painting project. So it was at this point that I had what can only be described as a stroke of pure and utter stupidity. I thought it would be a great idea to, just tape my fucking phone to the light fixture hanging over my dining room table so that I could get an aerial view. As you can see from the footage, it's not only absolutely ridiculous, but it also didn't even fucking work because it kept moving. So I opted to just place a tray table on my dining room table, put a phone on it with the lens pointing face down, and I actually ended up getting a decent angle out of it without destroying everything. So the next tile that I'm currently working on is, believe it or not, a Canada Dry Ginger Ale logo. Now, you of course might be thinking to yourself, damn, that's really some next level dedication to a very specific kind of beverage, huh? And yeah, that's kind of true, but it's really more for my cat than for me. So my cat, Lulu, my wonderful little agent of chaos, absolutely loves ginger ale, but not just any ginger ale. Oh no, she only loves Canada Dry Ginger Ale. I've tested it. Not Schweppes, not Vernon's, or whatever the fuck the other one is called, only Canada Dry. Whenever I open a can, for some reason Lulu comes running in from wherever she is and sticks her face in it. She tries knocking it over, she tries sniffing it. I honestly have no earthly idea why she loves it so much, but she does. And it's only Canada Dry. So it's sort of become like a running joke in my family, and to be honest, my dream in life would be to get a fucking Canada Dry sponsorship, or at the very least, a Canada Dry cat bed for her, but I've looked, and shockingly, there's just no market for cat beds with Canada Dry logos on it. I really can't figure out why that is, it's just the reason escapes me, but in any event, I am of course painting it on my table for my wonderful little daughter. Plus, I also just like Canada Dry too, and it's really got a nice graphic look to it, so I thought, on the table it goes. What's funny too, and I'm sure my dad will be absolutely delighted with me sharing this, but whenever we discovered that Lulu's obsession with Canada Dry existed, for some unexplained reason, and without any warning, my dad has just all of a sudden decided that he loves Canada Dry too. Whenever he comes to my apartment, he cracks open a cold one. Whenever me and my cat come home for the holidays, my dad all of a sudden just opens a Canada Dry with every dinner. Never saw the man drink any Canada Dry in my entire 25.75 years of existence, but now that my cat loves it, so does he. I really think he's just trying to get in good with her because she wasn't really thrilled with him when they first met, but I'm sure he would tell you to the contrary and refute it tooth and nail. So right here, I'm just working on the details for this little cat. It was something that I found on Pinterest, and I thought it was really cute and reminded me of my cat. So obviously I had to have it not only on the table, but staring at the ginger ale logo in true Lulu fashion. So right now I'm jumping over to my Cleveland Indians eye because my family and I are huge fans of Cleveland sports teams, although it's occurring to me right now after the fact that Cleveland is changing their mascot in the next year or so, and the eye will probably no longer be a thing, but whatever, too late now. So yeah, my family is a huge fan of Cleveland sports teams. It's something we really bond over. Not only that, but my mom in particular is really superstitious, like super superstitious for teams. She once made my brother and I stay in our rooms for an hour and a half when the Indians were in the playoffs because it was bad luck otherwise. And then when the Cavs were in the championship, she literally would not get off her treadmill because it was good luck in prior games. And I mean, I totally get it. Cleveland has had their fair share of sports heartbreaks, so my mom, in all honesty, is pulling more than her fair weight, so Cleveland, get your shit together. So yeah, I think at this point I was finishing up and getting ready to turn in for the night, so let's see where I'm leaving off with the table. Here is what we're looking at as we're closing out the night. Made a lot of progress. There's a ton of touching up that we still have to do. Like this one needs to be touched up. I unfucked Pikachu's face. That sounds absolutely disgusting, and I don't mean it that way. This obviously is not done. I just kind of painted in the background color, and this needs painting, and this needs something interesting added to it. But overall, we're closing in. I think I'm making decent progress. Hopefully tomorrow after work, if work doesn't completely destroy my soul, I should be able to fix everything that needs to be fixed, and finish out the little tiles and have my table back to some sort of normalcy. So I got this water jug, and I'm supposed to like drink all of it by the end of the day in order to be like a hydrated human being. And according to this, I'm at 8 in the morning and it's almost 3 o'clock in the afternoon in reality. Why am I like this? So this is where we're starting today. As you can see, we're almost done. You know, there's maybe a couple squares that I want to add a little bit of touch up and detail to, but this is super doable compared to, you know, obviously a blank ass table where we started initially. So I'm gonna just jump right in and, you know, let's see what happens. Let's go. Alright, so one of the reasons, aside from being cooped up in the pandemic for 2 weeks in my apartment, that I wanted to paint the table was because I felt like I needed to erase a little bit of bad juju that this dining room table had acquired. Let me take you back to October 2020. Now, I had previously graduated law school in May of that year, and up until 2020, I was preparing and expecting to take the bar exam that July. And of course, as we know, the pandemic took a big old dump on everyone's plans and expectations, and this of course included my bar exam. The test that I was planning my entire life for was pushed back twice, put me out for a lot of money, and subjected me to a lot of stress and prolonged suffering. Long story short, and after countless hours and thousands of dollars invested into this test, I was going to have it pushed back twice and administered remotely with a special software installed in my computer that would monitor noises and use facial recognition in the webcam while you took the test to make sure that you wouldn't cheat while at home, which is perfectly fine. I have no intention of cheating, but the only problem was that when I took the test in my apartment on the second day, in the last section, 45 minutes before I'm done, the fire alarm starts going off in my building for 30 fucking minutes. So my first thought, of course, is, you know, if there's a legit fire, do I have to pick between my test getting disqualified and death? Second, once I realized that the fire alarm was just a test and not actually a fire, I had to think about whether the microphone was picking up this, you know, alarm going off, but it surely had to have been because it's a fucking fire alarm and it's really loud, and does that mean my test is going to get thrown out? But, you know, at this point, I was expecting the worst to happen because, with my luck, the administrators would probably assume that the fire alarm is communicating with me in Morse code and that I had been planning this all along and it was feeding me answers about secure transactions. Then it occurred to me, even if the fire alarm wasn't going to get my test thrown out, I was so fucking upset about what happened that I'm pretty sure that I blacked out for those last 30 minutes. I couldn't think, I couldn't process what I was reading, and I honestly cannot remember a single fucking thing about that last 30 minutes of the test. And I spent the following 2 months after that waiting for my results, thinking that I failed the bar exam because of it, which thankfully I actually did pass. But, you know, in that time I was so upset and stressed out from the experience that I didn't even want to sit in my dining room. I know that sounds kind of funny, but part of the reason why I wanted to paint this table was to give it a new, more positive association so that when I look at it, I don't, you know, get blinding rage and, you know, anger from looking at it and reminding myself of the fire alarm. So yeah, now we've gone from painting some elephants and the Hidden Leaf Village symbol to an astronaut that I'm working on right now. I wanted to include this little astronaut guy because 1, I like the aesthetic look, 2, I love learning about the Apollo missions when I was a kid, and 3, it relates to an inside joke with my family and perhaps one of the most embarrassing interviews that I've ever been on. So when I was a 2L, I was absolutely exhausted always. I was always working and studying to the point where that I was working 17 hours a day every day. One day I had an interview with a really hoity-toity law firm downtown with a guy that opened the interview by telling me that in his spare time he likes to travel to the Mykonos Islands, you know, because what a relatable hobby, my guy. So when he tries to ask me what I do, instead of saying the truth, which was I work too much for hobbies, I try to say something interesting, like I like to read about nonfiction books regarding the space program and space exploration, which is true because that shit's really interesting. Except in my exhausted state of mind, I grunted out something like, I like space, like a fucking weirdo. And of course, this wonderful, excellent, delightful human being said in absolute disgust, oh, so you're like a Star Trek person? Needless to say, I didn't get the job, but my mom thinks it's hysterical, and now that I've sort of embraced the space aesthetic, you know, it has to go on my table. How did this happen? Okay, so this might be my favorite piece of furniture, like, that I own. And I didn't even pay anything for this table. I mean, I guess I paid for the paint, but, like, I love this table so fucking much. It is so me, it's, like, actually kind of overwhelming in the best way possible. I love it. I'm so excited about how it came out. I'm honestly pretty impressed with myself. It's not perfect. I know it's not perfect. There are a ton of places that look wonky as fuck, like Shrek doesn't look right. But overall, this is like 100% a reflection of me, and I love it. I love it so much. I can't wait to finish it. I'm probably gonna eat and finish up my work tonight, and then maybe I'll get started on it. But yeah, overall, completely fucking stoked at how it looks. Well, no turning back now, I guess. Yeah, I don't really know what happened to the audio right now, so this is just me explaining that A, I taped my phone to a floor lamp, and B, I'm going to paint the table black. In order to show you just how ridiculous and low budget my filming setup is, I have included a small video of me taping a piece of cardboard to the lamp to demonstrate just how stupid this whole filming arrangement was. So basically at this point I have made the executive decision to finish up the table, or at least the painting part of the table, that night, because at that point, am I really going to fucking stop? Absolutely not. I have come this far and we must see it through to the end. So my goal was to really do something to make the middle part jump out, and at first I thought, hey, let's just paint the table a solid color, but obviously that's boring and dumb and I can't fucking help myself, so I had to add more than just a solid color. So in keeping with my space aesthetic and me, you know, liking space, I just absolutely fucking had to go for the space looking effect on the end parts of the table. I mean, how could I fucking not? I think at this point too, I was also watching High School Musical 2 while I was painting the table, and, you know, let me just throw out another opinion here. But High School Musical 2 has way better fucking songs than the original. Hear me out. I Don't Dance is a fucking bop. Bet on It has the angry golf dancing scene and Zac Efron pulling a Simba moment in the water, and you absolutely cannot listen to Gotta Go My Own Way without making whoever else is driving in the car with you sing the Troy part while you're belting out to Gabriella's part. I am sorry that you have to hear it from me, but it's the fucking truth. So anyways, after this painting part, I think I start sponging on the galaxy effect, and here's how it looked. What I decided to do was, first I put this metallic blue trim around the edge of the painting, so that's what that looks like. It's pretty cool. And I thought it just still needed a little bit of a pop, so what I did was I took various colors of acrylic paint, like a dark plum color, a dark, like a royal blue, and then a brighter color blue and a violet and a pink, and I just sponged over everything. It doesn't look great now. Like, it depends on, like, different angles. It looks better or worse. But once I add in, like, the stars and planets and other shit, it'll probably look less like I just made a fucking mess on my table and more like an intentional thing. So I have the middle part covered up because I'm going to be flicking some paint. It's about to get messy in here. And I'm just going to go ahead and, oh my god. That's terrifying. Oh, Jesus. And we're gonna, anyways, just get everything all finished up and put in the stars and the constellations and everything, and hopefully it'll look less stupid. I feel like all the footage of me talking into my phone is just going to be footage of like me with my double chin, and it's going to make me really unhappy, but I don't really think there's an angle where I can avoid that. So at this point, the table is done. There's no more painting to be had, and I think it looks amazing, you know, better than I ever could have hoped. What I'm going to do next is put some Mod Podge on the table, which is a glue-based sealant. It's really not meant for furniture, but I don't really have anything else at my disposal because I'm in quarantine, and it'll just be a temporary protection of the table from getting scuffed up. So that's what I'm going to do right now, and hopefully it works. Okay, my phone is taped to my lamp again, so if it's a weird angle, that's probably why. But as you can see, the table came out pretty good. I think that it exceeded my expectations. I think the style that I had going, or the idea I had in mind, could have gone very wrong, but I think it turned out pretty good. Like, oh shit, oh my god. Anyways, so that's probably a sign I should probably wrap this up quick. Okay, so this is it when it's done. I think somehow the Mod Podge actually made it look nicer because it's got a little bit of a shine to it, and I think it made everything more vibrant and exciting. So I'm super excited by how it looks. It's a tiny bit tacky, but I've Mod Podged other things before and it kind of goes away after a little bit. But yeah, overall I am so beyond thrilled with my table. I can't wait to fucking eat shit on this table. It's just like a whole new piece of furniture. So let's try. Okay. You know what? It tastes different. Okay, so that's pretty much all the content I have in terms of me destroying a piece of my furniture in my apartment. I really had fun making this video, and I hope to do other creative craft-related art projects on my YouTube channel in the future. So if you like this video and you want to see more from me, please feel free to like and subscribe. Never thought I'd say those two words together, but yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If anyone out there watched, I need to go play with my cat now, otherwise she's undoubtedly going to murder me in my sleep. Okay, bye.